Welcome to Chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. But as you guys know, or maybe you don't know and you're going to find out right now, we do have the Chess Olympiad going on. And it is getting played in Hungary. So anyways, I do have the team matchup between Iceland and India. So this is Vignir Stefansson versus Gukesh Dommaraju. As you guys know, he is going to be playing a world championship in just a few months. So all of my people in the Philippines, I will say Maraming Salamat. Anybody who is coming from India, I will say Mika Nandri. Anybody who is coming from Iceland, I will say Tak. But I appreciate you guys very much. This is round number 2. So if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look and see what we got for this game. This is a very, very nice game. If you have not seen it yet, it is very rich with ideas. We do see the move D4. We got knight to F6. So we start off with an Indian game, which is very, legitimate because we do have an Indian player. So why not play the Indian if you're Indian? We do see the move C4. We got E6. We do see the move knight to F3. And we do have the Indian game, and this is the Anti-Nimzo-Indian variation. You're basically just telling black, like, I don't really want none of this bishop B4 stuff. I personally am this type of player. I'm not really a huge fan of the Nimzo-Indian. So I do kind of go down this line when I'm trying to play and kind of let, see what black is wanting to do. We do see the move H6. One of the things that can be kind of irritating from the black side is the move bishop G5. So Gukesh is just like, bro, I'm just going to knock that out the way at the start of the game. We do see the move G3. We got bishop to B4 with check. We got bishop D2, and then the bishop settles back to E7. Now, this maneuver might look kind of weird to you guys. You're like, well, why would I check and then just move back? Basically, what you're wanting to do is just simply go the move bishop E7. But you toss this check in because, every single piece that you block the check with is not created equal. You have like knight C3s, you got knight B to D2, you got knight F to D2, bishop D2. And in different situations, not every single one of those blocking moves is actually very good. So, you're kind of testing white to see, like, how do you want to block? You want to mess up, or what do you want to do? So we do see this on the board. We got bishop to G2. We got castles by black. We do see castles by white. We got the move D5. We got queen to C2, and then we do see the move C6. And we kind of have a semi-Slav type of a structure. This is a very, very hard structure to break down if you are white. You kind of have to do some preparation like rook E1, knight C3 to try to push E4 to try to chip away. But it just kind of always seems like black is going to be able to just kind of like stick a pawn in the middle of the board and keep this pawn lock going on. We got rook over to D1. It is not something you can see now, but I mean, it is always good to put this rook opposite the queen because maybe some things open up and maybe Gukesh drops his queen. You never know. We got knight B to D7. We got bishop up to F4. We got the move A5. We see knight C3. Pawn takes C4. And then you kind of have to try to figure out some kind of way to get this pawn. So we do see knight going back down to D2. We got knight to D5. We got knight taking C4. Knight taking F4. And then pawn taking F4. And I know what you guys are probably thinking. You're like, man, like, why would I mess up my structure as white? Like, look at this, bro. Like, this sucks. Well, one of the attacking ideas that white has in the position is that they are wanting to maybe try to use the G-file, and that is actually something you see Stefansson do coming up. So after we see the move knight F6, we got knight E5, bishop to D7. We do see the move E3, just making sure that our structure is cool in the center. We got bishop back to E8, king goes over to H1. We got king to H8. And then we do see rook to G1. And like I said, I mean, this king has definitely moved kind of like off of the, the killer path of this G-file, but we are trying to see if we can muster up some type of an attack on the G-file. So yes, you doubled your F-pawns, but you kind of got a little bit of some open lines to black's king. So we do see the move rook to C8. We got rook A to D1. Now, an honorable mention that I did want to mention in this position is actually the move F5. Now, if you're looking at the situation from the white side, you're saying, hey, man, like everything is pretty much good on my side of the board. The queen is undefended, but there's not really a good way for black to get at it. But one of my major things is I do have these double pawns right here. So F5 would definitely be something to try to get rid of that weakness. You probably would see like bishop D6, pawn taking, and then F4. And we get into a position that's almost identical to this, but it's just different with the pawns. So going back to what we saw in the game, we did see rook A to D1, and then bishop went to D6. We got bishop to F3. We got queen to e7, and I mean, both players have played very accurately up to this point. But like I said, we do kind of get into what I was telling you guys a second ago. In this position right here, you do kind of have that same similar situation with the bishop here, stuff like that. But you just have this pawn back here on f2. We do see the move knight to a4. And we actually see the move rook to c7. Now, there's an opportunity in this position as well. You know, you have not really fully defended the c5 square good enough. And black actually has the opportunity just to push c5 immediately. You probably see like knight b6 and then rook would come down to c7. And this is actually a very nice position for black. And you do have this rook opposite this undefended queen at the moment. So you can see that rooks opposite queens can be very powerful. But going back, like I said, we did see rook to c7. This does allow white to kind of try to come back a little bit and just defend the position a little bit, try to build up more defense on c5 so c5 cannot be pushed by black. We got queen going back to d8. We got rook over to c1. Now pretty much like, you know, c5 is firmly held by white. We do see knight going to d5. And something I want to tell you guys about, for any of you guys that play like the Scandinavian or play a Carol Khan, or even like a French defense, and like literally black just decides he wants to go c6 instead of c5, which is like never really recommended. You know, you do have the idea of putting a knight here on d5. Usually you see like this maneuver here, and you already have a knight on f6, and you kind of have like, you know, just like the knight that's going to live rent-free on d5 forever. But this is definitely something that should stick out to you from the black side. We do see the move a3. We got f6. Queen goes to d2. We got g5. And basically, Gukesh is like, I don't care if my king is bad. I don't care if I'm hit on the king. You do kind of have to worry about your king sitting over here and you're starting to open lines in front of your king. So if you are playing your own games, I mean, be very careful about throwing these pawns forward in front of your king, because if things start kind of opening up, I mean, you can start kind of seeing some of these pieces, you know, you see all the arrows. But we do see queen taking a5, bishop goes down to g6, and we do come back to d2, protecting our lovely knight on d3. And basically, Stefansson is like, you know what? That pawn tasted delicious. How did you know I was hungry, homie? And Gukesh is like, man, I got you, bro. So we do see the move queen going to e8. We got knight a to c5 because, like I was saying before, you have secured the c5 square. Like, black is never pushing c5, so go ahead and take that on. We do see rook going over to g7. Queen goes to e2. We got rook f to g8. We got rook c to e1. We got bishop back to b8. Queen goes over to d2. Now, I will say this. You kind of see white is not really kind of making a lot of progress. They're kind of just shifting around a little bit. And black is actually set up quite a damaging looking position. They got these rooks barreling down on this g file. So now you've kind of justified opening up the position in front of your king, because now the king is super safe. And you have all of these pieces kind of trained, you know, into white's position. We got bishop back to h7. We got queen down to d1. We do see the move b6. And this is actually a critical point in the game. It is, I mean, basically dead even here, even though it's crazy you're looking at it. But, I mean, you know, you do have to make a very specific decision in this position. And we actually see the move knight to b3. And this actually, it is a positional mistake. It's an inaccuracy in the position. You really don't want to too much move your knight like way over here on the side of the board. You really kind of want to get it more towards, you know, where you're, you know, concentrated in your position. So in this position, it was actually much better to go knight to e4. And then you can maybe redirect to g3, or, you know, just basically just make sure that your knight is central and you're kind of moving it more toward like defending your king's position. And then you probably would see like g4, bishop to g2. But, you know, like I said, this knight is actually doing a very good job of defending the king side. And, I mean, black would have to give up a bishop for your knight in this type of a situation. But we don't see that. Like I said, knight to b3, it's not like the end of the world. But it is just a little bit passive of a move. We do see the move g4. So we still have that same idea coming up. But it's just a little bit different after we see the move queen to h5. And like I said, you see that, I mean, like, black is primed and ready to go, man. They got the bishop right here. They got the queen right here. They got these rooks going on. I mean, this knight is legitimately placed. This bishop could come in. So, I mean, if you don't play accurately, I mean, you know, you're pretty much in a situation where, you know, you can go down very quickly. So we do see the move queen to d2. And this is actually a game-losing blunder. I'm sure, like, you're probably looking at it like, well, how does it blunder the game? Like, I mean, it doesn't really look that bad, right? Well, I mean, you will see in just a second why I blundered the game. But in this position here, it might surprise you. But what the computer wants you to do is knight b to c1. Now, this probably looks like a terrible move. You're like, why would I make knight b to c1? Well, the computer is begging you to move this knight back into the game to defend your position because your position is starting to fall apart. And so that is one of the important ideas that just was not, you know, kind of hitting home right here. And this knight pretty much just kind of is like living here forever. But going into the position after we see queen to d2, we have actually reached a position. There is a killer blow that, you know, Gukesh actually has in the position. If you want to pause the video and try to guess that move, go ahead and do so. All right, man. So I think this actually would kind of be like kind of a hard move to find though, just simply because it just kind of seems like it gives a pawn away. Like you're like, why would I just give the pawn away like that? But it does open some lines, and you do have pins down this H file. And I mean, you do have the ability to push it now that the queen is not on D1, pinning down this pawn to the queen. So basically, black is getting everything they want. The move is G3. Now, like I said, G3 kind of looks like it just throws away a pawn. Like you're like, I'm just going to take like F takes G3, right? Well, the problem is, like I said, this pawn is pinned. So you basically have allowed black to completely open lines up to your king. And we see Gukesh basically just take care of that all the way. We got pawn taking G3, rook taking G3, and then we do see the move E4, and we're like, hey, man, I'm trying to see if I can get rid of some pawns, trying to open my pieces up, try to do something right. But I mentioned to you again, this knight is kind of hanging out way over here, and it's not really contributing to the game. So that is one of the major problems in white's position. And Gukesh actually finds the absolute best move in the position, which is like leaving your knight alone, saying, bro, I don't care about that knight, and going rook 8 to G4. And now you're thinking like, what is this? Like you're just going to give away your knight. No, you're not. You are taking advantage of the fact that this pawn is pinned, and you are literally just about to go rook to H4, and this is checkmate. What do? You can't move the rook over here because you're going to be dropping the bishop, and the queen is going to go away, and that's not really good. So you really don't have a whole lot of great options in this position. We do see queen to E2 trying to pin down that rook, seeing what Gukesh is trying to do, but then we do see knight taking F4. We got knight taking F4, bishop taking F4, and then we do see actually the move bishop F3, which might kind of seem like, hey man, this covers everything, right? Like this makes it, like this pins down the rook, everything is good. Like you can't swing the rook over now because the bishop is going to take the queen. Everything is everything, right? Absolutely not. We see Gukesh say, bro, I don't care about all of that, man. Rook takes F3. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, what's rook takes F3? That just drops, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You cannot. This is a poisoned rook. You absolutely cannot take this because this is checkmate right here. You can't do that. So then you go back in this position right here and you think, okay, what do I do? After rook takes F3, it is actually in this position that Stefansson resigns the game because, like I said, there's literally nothing you can do. What does the computer want you to do? Knight to D2. The computer is like literally down there like, bro, please move this knight back in the game. Yes, but it has not happened the entire game. And so this knight lived, you know, it like literally died a horrible death over here on B3 forever. And knight to E4 would have been absolutely beautifully great. But we did not see that. After we would see knight to D2, it might kind of seem like, okay, I'm holding on. Like the rook can move. Like, I mean, there's something I can do, right? Absolutely not. You would be looking at bishop takes H2. The problem is once this bishop moves, you are checked and you don't have anywhere to move. You got to move the queen in a way. So you're going to end up in this position anyway. Queen takes H2 and then rook to H3. No. Yes, no. Yes, no. You don't want this, bro. Because look at this. Like, what is your queen about to do? You're just dropping your queen, dog. That's not good, man. It's not nice. And this knight was the bad boy of the position for white. Obviously, that's not the move because that's rook takes H2 checkmate. But anyways, that is what we see going into this position here. And that is why we saw the resignation on this particular point right here. So it's crazy how that one little thing, moving the knight to like a different square, really just made the big difference in the game. And you had two opportunities to move the knight too. So that's craziness. So as always, people that are coming up from the Philippines, maraming salamat aking makaibigan po sa nanonood ng aking mga video. Anybody who is coming from India, I will say Vanakkam, and I will say Mika Nandri. Anybody who is coming from Iceland, I will say Tak, and I will see you guys next time.